When I grow up, I want to give. This is Paul Chandy from Tri-T, the teacher that talks the truth, coaching your children to succeed in school and enabling you to succeed in the school of life. That piece of wisdom that you just heard didn't come from me. It came from a 17-year-old A-level student. Now I was curious about this because let's face it, when a lot of us are young, and a lot of the youngsters I've talked to today, what they want is fast cars, fancy women, and when they get older, a secure job, a great salary that gives them importance and status, a big house, and so that they can provide for the family. It's all focused on self. I'm not necessarily saying that's wrong. However, I was curious and puzzled by such a mature and unique answer given by the 17-year-old. So I asked her, tell me about yourself. What A-levels are you doing? And what nudged you to say this? So she said she had been on trips to Africa and she had been on trips to Borneo and Indonesia. She said she was really lucky that she came from a very privileged family and she had seen the nature and seen the rainforests, and that made her really happy and made her feel really lucky. And she went on in detail of all her adventures and her experiences. And then her tone lowered and she said, I've also seen other things. I've seen deforestation. I've seen children running around naked in the streets. I've seen people who barely have enough to eat and are living day to day. And then she said to me, what is wrong with people here? We have enough to eat and people are complaining that they're not going to the next party, or they weren't able to get the latest Nike shoes, or for example all the revision and study that have to be done. Can't they see it's all around them? Can't they see it on the screens? But I have seen it up front with my own eyes. These people suffering. And then I paused and she paused, because really I didn't know what to say. Then we got onto the question of A-levels, and she said she was studying geography. And then her voice started to sound bright and she says, oh, I love studying geography because, it will enable me to travel and enable me to explore the world, and also geography would be useful because then I can work in development. And she kept on racing on and going on, and then I can help the people who are in most need of help, and at the same time indulge my passion of travelling and exploring. And her whole voice and appearance and everything changed. She seemed bright-eyed, and I could tell where the motivation was coming from to study well for her A-levels, even when the workload was hard or difficult, or even when she had a packed timetable. I could see what was that motivating factor. She had a framework. From giving came love. Love for others, but also love for self, and love in enjoying what you're doing, because she had a mission and a purpose, and all the three were interconnected. Because she knew that the more she studied and the more that she loved what she was doing, it was bringing her a step closer to a mission and to her career, which was to work with development agencies and help other people, and at the same time feel fulfilled by travelling and exploring. So I'll repeat. First comes the giving, then the loving, and then the fulfilled. Now these days, in any narrative in assembly, or even what parents give, And even what I used to say to children about the importance of schooling and education. I used to repeat the narrative so you can get a good job, live in a good house, provide for your family, buy fancy clothes, buy your Xbox and PlayStation games, because after the age of 18, I doubt your parents will be buying them. And it works to a certain extent. So yes, I do repeat that narrative, but I also add on about giving, mission, purpose, and of course developing a love. Developing a love of self to find out what you love doing, and a love for others. So how can we extend that narrative to go from self and increase our circle to helping others, creating a more abundant circle? Well, first of all, when your child comes home with a report, when he tells you about your activities that he's been doing in school, of course celebrate the success. Like I told in another video, talk about the feedback, get feedback, talk about the failures, which is reality feedback, but also ask, how are you contributing? What are you giving to school? How are you helping your fellow classmates? Are you explaining things? Are you helping the teacher? That for me is a more well-rounded type of schooling. The second thing you can do is you yourself be an example. Get involved in volunteer work and charity work according to what takes your fancy. It could be mentoring and coaching people. It could be, for example, working with the homeless, working in a soup kitchen, doing litter picking, visiting the elderly, singing in the local church choir. I mean, church is perfect to volunteer for activities, getting involved with ministries of the sick, and the list goes on, according to the gifts that you've been blessed with or that you enjoy. Even better, get your children involved in doing this. Now, children being young and being free-spirited, I'm afraid may not go on these visits with you. But what you're doing is planting a seed in the subconscious. So as they get older and into teenage years and university years, and once they face a few challenges and hurdles, and when you're no longer the safety net underneath them, they will start questioning life and trying to find the meaning in life. And then they will remember their best teacher and his example and how he got it together. And that is you, the role model. And then they'll start having memories of when you did charity work, and of when you volunteered, and when you gave, and when you contributed to society. So it'll either be a short term, depending on your child. Some children are very eager and something very special about their nature. I have seen children volunteer. I've seen some very unique children who give up their time to get involved in charity work. Or somewhere along the line, be patient. Your child will develop the idea of giving, which will start blending into his career that will become a mission. Remember? Giving, loving, and mission. And thirdly, let me refer back to that story, where obviously her parents who were well off, and they lived in privilege and comfort, and she attended a very good school, had also made her aware of what she had, not to make her feel guilty, but to make her think about the world, society, the environment, and others. She had been shown shanty towns. She had been shown the bad aspects of the environment. Her parents made her aware and talked about these issues. In other words, she had been shown the good, the bad, and the ugly, so she got a whole picture of life. As you can tell, I come from an immigrant family. I live in England. my family from India. And when I used to talk to my Indian and Bangladeshi and Pakistani friends, and some of us, like myself, lived in well-off circumstances and came from privileged families in our home countries, we had similar experiences. We'd enjoy the comforts of, say, India or Bangladesh and Pakistan, and enjoy our grandparents' wealth and status back in that country. But also our parents would make us see and make us aware, and would take us to the poor parts of the city or the town or the region. Or, for example, we would see people who are sick or other negative aspects, which actually, to tell you the truth, you get in every country. I'm not, for example, denigrating India, Bangladesh or Pakistan, but when we went back to those countries, we weren't in our rosy cocoons. Our eyes were made open, which did help ground us. So think about that. This is Paul Chandy from Try-T, the teacher that talks the truth. And let me know in the comments what you think.